Hello, everyone. So, in the middle of the summer, today is what, 12th? Yeah, 12th of August. We meet with Limbert in order to get prepared or to prepare for you this conversation about inclusion and diversity and how EMCC relate these topics to coaching, mentoring, and supervision. Limbert, hi.
Hi, Rizzo. Lovely
I
to be.
may assume that audience can have a certain knowledge about me, or they can check the LinkedIn, but I would argue that you are relatively new name for them. Could you introduce yourself a bit?
Yes, so it's Lindbert Spencer, and I was born in Jamaica, but I've lived most of my life in England. I've been living in England since 1955, so that will kind of give you a sense of my longevity. And I'm a consultant. I focus primarily on leadership development, executive coaching, and running team development and training events. And my area of specialism, and I have to say passion, is around inclusion and the whole inclusion, diversity, and equality area of work. And I suppose I've had experience of being a chief executive of a not-for-profit organization over many years, and I've worked as a community worker, grassroots. So what I bring to my consulting and coaching is quite a breadth of experience, but experience that is pretty well rooted and grounded in day-to-day experiences of, shall we say, ordinary people, rather than just those of us who might occupy big offices in city centers.
Could you help me? I'm maybe making a big mistake here, but do I remember correctly that you were a professional athlete or an amateur or?
Yeah, back in my day, Reed, so we were all amateurs.
Okay.
Yes, so literally a long time ago, back in the 70s, I competed as a decathlete and was part of the British squad, and did manage to compete one time for the UK. Yeah.
Where in a
It was a match against France.
wow.
Yeah, Britain against France in London. Yeah. No, I didn't make it to any of the big games.
Or else you're already kind of champion. So I never felt around felt anyway. So all right. So what I noticed, and I think this is why I'm also passionate about having this conversation with you, is people tend to talk very quickly about diversity, but you've just mentioned that your passion lies on inclusion. And before this recording, we already started our conversation. And it's the way I see things. The humanity, all through times, they wanted to have inclusion, but the way to create prototype, to create similar-minded people, to create armies of the same thinking, believers, or way of life in order to get collaboration or organization in a better way. That's our history. Like anthropologically, DNA-wise, we are kind of tend to but I think lately we have discovered that more diverse, we can achieve more. But there's a kind of contradiction there. So people tend to do this diversity in a kind of box ticking exercise. Yes, we have it. And what about inclusion? Or we already have inclusion. We all love each other. We like each other. So what's wrong with it? So tell me more. So what's going on? So is it the same thing everywhere in the world, or is it just my observation?
Well, no, I think it's the same everywhere in my experience. And like you, I've worked as a consultant, across different national boundaries and in different hemispheres, and it's the same stuff. And at a business level, it's often interesting because companies always present to say, well, on this topic, we are unique. And I nod wisely and say, yes, of course, but actually it's the same thing. And for me, inclusion is an emotion. We feel included. And even when we're talking to people, they say, well, I didn't feel very included in that. But we then don't take that to the next level and understand, well, okay, if it's a feeling, What are the elements around it? And over the years and the work that I've done, I've concluded that what we're talking about is emotions like respect, feeling valued, feeling trusted, feeling safe, and therefore having a sense of belonging. And so that's what, for me, inclusion is all about. It's not simply about being physically present. And I think that that's where we get confused in using the language. Organizations sometimes look at, say, the diversity of their board, and they might be thinking about gender diversity or ethnic diversity or national diversity, and they say, oh, we've got good diversity, we are a very inclusive organization. And I think that that is not necessarily always the case, because you can have a very diverse group of people and individuals, or many of them, or even all of them, might not experience a feeling of being respected, valued, trusted, and safe. And especially around gender, I challenge boards to ask themselves, when they have reached their magic goal of 30% or 50%, whatever it might be, to ask themselves, what do they think their female board members are saying to their female children or their girlfriends after the board meeting? Are they saying, it was, I felt great, I was able to contribute, you know, I want to stick this out, you know, I can see myself being involved in this organization for a long time? Or are they saying, well, there goes another one, I can't wait to move on, I can't wait to retire, because they don't have a feeling of being respected, valued, trusted, and safe. They just have a seat at the table. And I think that we've confused those two things over the years. And until we begin to work on inclusion very, very deliberately, as well as diversity, we're not going to get the value from the diversity of thinking, diversity of perspectives, diversity of experience that people bring.
This is the idea, this is the keyword for me, diversity of perspectives. You can come from very different backgrounds. You can have all these different, whatever, you know, the diversity signals, but you may not either have diverse perspectives, or you are not feeling comfortable. You don't have the psychological safety and everything to express yourself, your perspective. This is the worst thing, isn't it? This is awful for everyone. On the face of it, yeah, we have diversity, but in reality, we kill it. And for those people, they do suffer. In Turkey, because I mentioned his name in one of my articles, and he's a very good friend of mine. There's a famous, well-known headhunter, and the way he presented the diversity topic, like 8 old men in the board, I introduced them 1 young woman in order to create diversity. This is hell. If you don't work on the inclusion, this is hell for those poor guys and for that lady. And for example, Athena principles, male, female, who cares? This is the attributes that we have, men or women, but the female or feminine or the masculine attributes that we can bring, the color, the diversity, and it requires a kind of safe environment so that we can express ourselves. And I think I will just touch this to coaching and mentoring. So you are leading the Center for Excellence at EMCC at global level. Thank you for assuming this position. We are together with you building lots of things, and please tell more about this. But first of all, how do you see all this debate relate to coaching and mentoring and supervision?
Right, okay. Well, in terms of coaches, for coaches and mentors and supervisors, I think there are at least 3 things to pick up on. Firstly, it's about helping the coach or the supervisor, or indeed the mentor, when understanding this agenda more deeply, they can help clients to understand the rationale for creating and maintaining inclusive environments, and that it's not simply about ticking a box, but actually this is an area of focus that will bring about real improvements and gains for the organization. Because just as you were saying about the, the one woman and the 8 males, if that woman does not feel safe, she will not bring a different perspective. She will be doing all she can to demonstrate that she's just like the others.
Or the other way around, just conflicts.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Also, it's about helping clients to recognize that it's really important to address issues of discrimination and facilitating access, because those get in the way of individuals being able to do their best work. And then, the fact of the coach and mentor helping the client to see how they can support their teams and so on, because often we're coaching or mentoring senior leaders or leaders in the middle of the organization, and they bring to us the problems that they are facing with their difficult people, and sometimes they need to be helped to see those people in a different light, and some of that might be about the fact that they have a different personality, or they have literally a different way of thinking, or their life story is so different from that of the leader that the leader is unable to connect, but doesn't know how to get under that. So it's really, really powerful when coaches and mentors grasp and understand some of the issues associated with inclusion, diversity, and equality. And one big thing that I think is sometimes over complicated for people when talking about equity or equality is, I want to break that right down and say, actually, it's all about treating everybody equally well. Equally well. And if you're treating people equally well, by definition, that means that you have to treat them differently from the next person because they're different people. And once you get that concept in your head, you realize that you have to get to know and understand them more as individuals if you're going to treat them equally well. So it's very powerful, even though we might be talking about simplifying the definitions that we're using around this word.
I agree. And most of the barriers, what's getting in the way, are in inner game, isn't it? So, for example, the privileges. When I work on the topic of privileges, I use my right hand when I write. It's a privilege. Think about all the left-handed people. And it starts from there: schooling, housing, family, whatever you name it, it's all privilege.
Absolutely.
And then you have this inner game. But I worked hard to get this privilege in my life. Why now I will include other people in my life? It's mind-blowing. So it's an amazing coaching exercise. First of all, to really believe in the use and the value of inclusion. It starts there. But also then, how I can get rid of my own barriers. How can I move on? How can I motivate myself? How can I truly believe in what I say, what I think, and I can do it? It's an amazing coaching. And of course, in a way, mentoring exercise.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, you triggered for me there the thing about right-handed, left-handed. Even think about in the days when we use checks a lot, checkbooks. They're created for right-handed people. If you're left-handed people, you kind of smudge your checks every time you write them, because they just at a very basic level.
So many examples. The handles on the doors, or the temperature in the office buildings is designed for the man body, not for woman. So there are so many, small but important things that create a privilege for some. And for the some, in order to understand this, it requires a kind of self-talk, acceptance, understanding, and it's coaching. It's a full coaching exercise, self-coaching, or it comes with compassion, curiosity, courage. These are all the topics that we cover. Limbert, we don't have so much time, I know, but we'd like to hear about your plans, our plans, I should say, for EMCC. What are we doing and what are we going to do in that domain?
Well, over the coming months, the plan is to develop some working groups from across the world of individuals who are interested in going deeper with this work, but also not just in terms of the impact on the individual coaches and mentors and supervisors, but in terms of the membership of the organization and broadly, so that, for instance, when we're going for conferences, it's very hard when people are planning conferences, although we might want to have a more diverse set of speakers, conference organizers are not always aware of who's around. So at that basic level, trying to create some sort of database that will enable us to know who's who and what they have to offer. That might sound fairly straightforward, but behind that, you don't get that unless the people in the organization, our members, feel confident about why and about what it might be used for, and going back to inclusion, feel sufficiently respected, safe, valued, and have a sense of belonging that they are happy to actually share their personal information. So those things are inextricably linked as we go forward. My mission that I think people have taken on is around demystifying the agenda, simplifying the concepts. And so hopefully over the next few months, we'll see the language being shifted slightly. So we're talking about inclusion being an emotion, diversity simply being difference, and we're different in all sorts of ways that go beyond those things that might be covered by legislation in the different countries that we represent. And equity and equality being treating everybody equally well. So those are the things that you know, are the short-term gains that I'm hoping we can see going forward. And then having the opportunity for the different regions to have regional forum for people to come together, perhaps three or four times a year, to look at these issues, and similarly more globally, so that there'll be a more ongoing conversation about how this can impact, and hopefully a place where individual coaches, mentors, and supervisors can come and look for any guidance or support that they might need, specifically around the inclusion, diversity, and equality agenda. So that's the thinking.
And with your leadership, that will be also an open platform for all D&I professionals all over the world. Because I do have a sense that D&I professionals also need such conversations. Yes. Even though they are the experts, even though they are the one who does the job, there is a certain element of contribution we can bring with dialogue, especially from the coaching angle, from the understanding each other angle, from the treating equally well concept. So hopefully we will act as a platform for everybody in the world who have any interest in this inclusion and diversity topic to come together and to share and to learn and to create the new literature, I would say, going forward.
I think that's right, because I think many D&I practitioners are single diversity issue focused, and don't always have an inclusion piece in their head. They very frequently, even very experienced professionals, think about inclusion in terms of the particular diverse group being represented in a place. And representation and inclusion are not the same things. And I think, again, there is a lot that we could do in order to support that and clarify thinking around that, that will benefit all of us.
You know, Limbert, most of the things I talk about this topic when I place an important part in my speeches all over the world into inclusion. And I always mention your name. Most of the things I learned in this domain, I learned from you. So I'm so feeling privileged and happy to continue working with you with your new role, I would say. So thank you for your leadership in that domain, for helping our community at large to really motivate and to facilitate this dialogue. We are just coming to an end. Anything else you would like to share or add?
Well, the one thing I want to share is, and thank you very much for what you just said, but I think it's really important for the EMCC world to understand that actually we are where we are in this thinking because of your leadership around making sure that this is a key area for the organization to focus on. And there aren't that many global leaders who are putting inclusion front and center in terms of what's being done. So I think that that is really, really important and significant.
Nimur, thank you for that. And I should make an, acknowledge here something. It's not easy. You feel really fragile because frankly, how can I be inclusive? So frankly, it takes a big courage, effort, and transparency to be fragile. Because when you claim that you are under attack, because we are not. The world is so large, so diverse, how can we? It's just a journey, and I'm equally excited and feeling privileged, I would say, to be on that journey. So I'm also learning. So we'll see what will happen, but we'll get over all together, I believe. Yeah,
that's brilliant. Right. Well, this has been a great conversation. It's lovely to take this topic to another level.
Thank you very much, Nimur. All the best. Take care. Bye-bye.